The human biological and energetic structure operates as a mathematically precise system. It is governed by a central, multidimensional administrative framework designed to compile raw intention into physical reality. In our previous teardown, we successfully finalized the administrative protocols of the Anāhata or heart node, wrapping up that execution cycle with name 321. That finalized the heart node's role as the system's bridge router. Its function was to take raw, formless mainframe data and translate it into subtle energetic instructions. But the upper servers face a strict mechanical limitation. Purely intellectual code from the throat and subtle acoustics from the heart possess no mass. They lack the torque required to physically move the hardware. To execute physical action, the architecture initiates a descent down the spinal column. The focus moves away from the cognitive centers, plunging downward into the dense mechanical environment of the abdomen. For abstract software to affect physical reality, the data must be handed off to a localized power distribution grid capable of generating massive kinetic energy. This handoff is governed by name 322, Maṇipūra Chakra. This provides the architectural blueprint for the system's primary kinetic power supply. The operational element of this node is raw fire, or Agni. It provides the intense thermal output required to drive a physical machine. Think of the human terminal strictly as hardware. The brain may write the execution code, but the Navel Server supplies the actual electrical current to run it. Attempting to execute high-output physical tasks using only upper server logic results in rapid exhaustion. The brain simply cannot sustain heavy biological torque on its own. The Maṇipūra node takes over by systematically converting formless electromagnetic intention into the dense electrical current required to power the musculoskeletal chassis. Mastering the human terminal means treating the navel as a heavy industrial furnace, requiring precise thermal regulation. Establishing that thermal regulation begins with name 326, Rakta-varṇā. This dictates the operational baseline for the Navel Server, a blood-red, high-voltage thermal state. In Vedic engineering, this blood-red state is pure Rajas. It provides the heavy, kinetic torque necessary to maintain unshakable stamina. When a spiritual engineer successfully phase-locks this thermal baseline, the localized terminal operates with relentless forward momentum. The mechanical alternative is systemic noise. This occurs when the server is corrupted by lethargy or existential fear, dragging down the system's output. This split-screen visualization illustrates the energetic concept of a biological brownout. On the left, we see the steady, high-amplitude red waveform of pure Rajas torque. On the right, we see an erratic, collapsing waveform caused by tamas and fear. The data of a biological brownout correlates directly to physical symptoms. The user experiences procrastination, physical weakness, and a total inability to execute complex tasks. Willpower is a measurable metric of sustained thermal output from the Maṇipūra node. To manage this output, we look to name 323, Vadana Traya Samyuta, which translates to a routing processor with 3 faces. Why does the system administrator of the primary power grid require a 3-phased processor? In heavy industrial engineering, massive mechanical motors cannot run on standard single-phase electricity. The inherent gaps in voltage cause them to stall. They require 3-phase power. The biological terminal maps directly to this industrial concept. The human machine runs on its own 3-phase power structure known as the gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. This schematic models the biological grid. Overlapping these 3 phases delivers constant torque without stuttering. The processor strictly routes tamas for deep sleep, pure rajas for kinetic action, and sattva for equilibrium. A misaligned node causes crossed phases, routing the incorrect energy sequence. The real-world symptoms of crossed phases are immediate. You feel lethargic during work hours, or suffer hyperactive energy when attempting to sleep. The 3-phased processor strictly monitors and distributes phase alignment to prevent these exact failures. Biological homeostasis is impossible without perfect, continuous 3-phase power routing at the navel level. Next, name 327, Mamsa Nishtha, establishes the precise protocol that translates electrical intention into physical movement. MAMSA translates directly to flesh or muscle. Under this protocol, the navel node functions as a biological 3D printer. It actively compiles the subtle code sent down from the heart router into the dense biological tissue of the chassis. To sustain this heavy compilation process, the system requires a highly specific fuel source, detailed in name 328, Gudana Prita Manasa. Gudana translates to rice mixed with unrefined jaggery sugar. It represents the dense, high-combustion fuel required by an industrial furnace. Contrast this with the earlier, upper-level throat server, which required a cooling, logic-optimizing fuel of milk rice. The Sahasranāma provides highly specific nutritional diagnostics here. You cannot fuel a heavy industrial furnace with coolant. You must supply it with dense, combustible carbohydrates. Authority over this newly constructed power grid is explicitly granted to the designated sub-administrator, detailed in name 330, Lakanyamba Swarupani. This administrator does not manage the raw furnace directly. Instead, she operates a 10-bit physical power distribution matrix. These 10 subroutines are outlined in name 325, Damar Yadi Biravrita, represented architecturally as the 10 petals of the localized lotus. This infographic maps the exact functions of this 10-bit cluster. It actively regulates involuntary physical digestion, stamina distribution, and instinctual fear management. If even one of these 10 bits becomes corrupted, the physical chassis experiences acute biological anxiety or digestive hardware failure. Lakanyamba ensures the volatile power of the furnace is neatly parsed into these 10 perfectly managed physical pathways. The final required component for the navel server is cybersecurity. Name 324, Vajradika Ayudopita, deploys the heavy-duty hardware surge protection. Here, the Vajra, or Thunderbolt, acts as a violent electrical failsafe. It is designed to instantly sever unauthorized access to the core. The Maṇipūra is a flawlessly engineered industrial power plant. It takes formless data and grants it the unstoppable kinetic momentum required to shape reality.